Come on. It says we're live.
Oh, that's okay.
It's that kind of day. It's like, we're all cheerful and happy today.
What was I? Oh, yes. If you would like to,
Air
Air
conditioning.
conditioning.
air
It's
conditioning.
only 96.
Feels at 99 apparently.
Yes, we don't need sandbags. We need air conditioning.
Yeah,
so
Because
This
it's
time.
moist out there.
moist. It's so
Next week we
moist.
may need sandbags. Who the hell knows? Donate here. If you like coffee, and coffee is what keeps the words flowing, so we do love coffee. King Harv's Imperial Coffees, www.kingharv.com. Tell them you heard about it from us, so send us more.
Among the leaves.
And last but not least, Among the Leaves Tees. tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves Tees, for all your smart-ass t-shirt needs. Also, friend of ours, let them know you heard about it from us.
Before we get started,
We're getting started.
He's ranty.
Oh, good.
yeah, well, this
One of
is
us
not
is
so
ranting.
much a rant as it is a clarification.
Oh,
You don't have to apologize for the dancing girls. We got them all home. Everybody's okay.
the stripper is fine.
Yeah. The idiots that do not seem to understand Texas weather.
Oh, my
God.
gosh.
That's everybody.
And the whole situation down in Kerr County.
Yeah,
It is a horror story, folks.
Oh, yeah.
it is.
What people do not understand is the amount of rain that came down. There were places that got 20 inches of rain in 4 hours. If you're in a monsoon overseas, 20 inches in 4 hours is no big deal, because most of the time you're on volcanic rock.
Mhm.
So it runs off. However, this is not volcanic rock over here.
No.
It does not absorb water well.
It is clay, it is sand, limestone.
With about that much dirt on the top of
Yeah.
it.
And what happens when you get a flood, which Guadalupe, by the way, has flooded multiple times, along with most rivers in Texas.
Flooded multiple times in the last decade.
Yeah. The last bad one was 1987. That was the last one where they had a
Last
high
bad
death toll. Yeah. Kerr County in its total today has 55,000 people in the entire county. In 1987, they had 35,000. So yes, there was talk then about putting in a warning system. What kind of warning system? Well, what they were looking at the time, from what I've been able to research, was sirens. The problem with that was the cost was estimated, as best I can determine, at $500,000.
What year was that?
1987.
1987. Who was the governor and majority of the state legislature?
Democrats.
Bingo.
And the fact that 35,000 people to support a $500,000 project, it didn't go anywhere.
Nope.
So now everybody is bitching and moaning. Well, there was no warning system.
Yeah, it was.
National Weather Service.
National Weather Service had a warning warning thing. They had 5 people on duty when 2 were normally scheduled.
Yeah.
And if they want sirens, that's all well and good, and I agree, but nobody else has them either.
Yeah.
There is no flood siren anywhere that I know of in Texas.
No.
And
the other thing that was
Texas is big, so a lot of, one of the obnoxious things I saw was a comment made on Baines Bar by somebody who is known for making obnoxious comments. So it wasn't like a big, huge deal, but it was more of he's a European and has a profound misunderstanding of just how large an area would have to be that would be covered by this warning siren.
Well, not only that, but with today with air conditioning, what are the odds of hearing one of them inside a house?
Yeah, as the AC kicks on over us and we all automatically raise our voices.
And I'm going to tell you that we've lived in Texas how long?
Me,
long-
10 years.
How long you lived here? Cedar?
About 4 years now.
When the tornado siren goes off, nobody moves.
No, we do. We absolutely do. The tornado siren goes off, and we walk out on the front porch to look.
But the
Flood
other,
siren goes off, we'll do the same damn thing.
the other thing is the bitching and moaning this morning on a press conference about why the EOC was not manned. Folks, this is not New York City. Texas does not have enough population in most places to fully man an EOC.
Okay.
Now,
Jim and I can speak to this.
go ahead.
All right. Emergency management is handled at the county level in Texas.
Yep.
The emergency management coordinator is appointed and reports to the county judge. In Wichita County, they have, which is I think we're 109,000 people in the entire county. County of 100.
The city itself is about 104,000, so that sounds about right.
About less than 120,000 county. Has one full-time guy and one part-time. At the county level, the salaries come out of taxes.
They're not high.
No, and you can't for what would you say it was 55,000?
Yeah.
They might have a part-time guy.
The other thing is, you have to understand how an EOC works. The EOC is manned by people who have a full-time job. They come in, be it fire, police, troopers usually. We usually get one trooper. You get some weather people, but they all have a full-time job. So they have to get into the EOC to stand it up. So it would take at least an hour, if not more, even for ours, if the alert went out immediately.
The Wichita County, the emergency management coordinator got subsumed into the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
So the sheriff's office in Wichita County for now handles all the EOC. And it took us during the floods, it took us almost a day to get stood up.
Yeah. So
Okay.
expecting an EOC in a county with 55,000 people to be manned 24 hours a day is A, ridiculous, B, impossible, and C, not their fault. They are not to blame for it. The other thing that was batted around this morning is, well, why aren't they working harder to find people? Do people not realize they are still finding bodies in North Carolina from over a year ago? They still have not found everybody in North Carolina.
And they won't find everyone here. People have absolutely no idea of the destructive power of a flood. It is not just water.
No.
And even if it were just water, water itself has the power to tear a body limb from limb.
Yeah.
But when you have water full of debris, you have a very effective grinding mill.
Well,
They will not find everyone.
not only that, but that's usually what leads the flood is that grinding mill
Yes.
of
It's
trees.
a huge wave
rocks.
of debris
Yeah.
hits first.
Yeah.
Followed by muddy, dirty water full of rolling rocks.
I don't think people quite understand.
Do not trust the Red Cross. No.
Ever.
No.
I
noticed that they're keeping their mouths shut in Kerrville this time.
Go on Kerrville Facebook page. There is a link there that you can donate directly to the people in Kerrville.
HEB, God bless them, has a link.
Yeah.
Whataburger, God bless them, has a link.
Yeah.
Donate to those. I would donate to Whataburger and HEB first. The Cajun Navy's got a link.
Yeah.
The U.S. Coast Guard, the Cajun Navy, Whataburger, and HEB are there. They're working their asses off. Sheriff's Office, PD, Fire Department from miles around are working. They are. It's
a slow, painful process.
you go fast, you miss them.
Every pile of debris has to be stripped down and searched.
Yep.
That's
why they've been putting out notices regularly telling people do not burn the brush.
Yeah. And Cajun Navy has changed their MO this time. They only want combat veterans this time
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know why.
for reasons.
Yeah, I know
Yep.
why.
Yeah, Raptor. End of an episode on TV shows is not reality.
No.
No, it's you don't. If you go fast, you miss one that might still be alive.
Yeah. Yes, HEB had their own emergency trucks there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
A whole
entire convoy had it.
of them out there.
God bless, and that's why we need HEB up here so I can start sending them money.
Yeah, Padre, the churches are heavily involved and they will take the donations.
Yep. Who was it? Somebody on Facebook was talking about he lives not too far, a couple hours from, and he loaded up a truckload of stuff, went to Sam's Club and bought stuff.
Yeah.
And then went, first place he tried to go, forget what it was, but they couldn't accept any more donations. They'd run out of room, and
Yeah.
they sent him and a bunch of other people over to the American Legion.
Yeah.
And the American Legion was able to take the donations. But that's the other thing, too, is that just sending stuff isn't always the most effective way to do this because they run out of space
Yeah.
to put things, and what they need might change on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the Legion, the VFW, those organizations are going to be heavily involved.
and it's far better to support a local-based organization than one of the big national organizations. Big national organizations, a lot of that money goes to the national level, and
The
the
paycheck for their
the
president.
local people just don't see that, and that is
Or if they see it, it's a year later.
not optimal.
Red Cross
So,
specifically.
Remember
yeah.
how
no,
bad
Red
the
Cross is no
Red
bueno.
Cross. Remember how bad the Red Cross beclowned themselves in Houston
Oh,
after
yeah.
that hurricane hit
And in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
I mean, once upon a time they were a good organization. I think maybe, and there's even speculation
Yeah.
about that, but not anymore.
Telling people that were feeding the homeless and the rescuers in New Orleans, they had to stop.
Yep.
It's just
They tried to
unbelievable.
turn the HEB Mercy convoy around.
Yeah.
You can't come through here. You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because HEB don't care.
Neither does the Cajun Navy.
No, they can't. Oh, the Cajun Navy threw one of them in the water.
Well, they also backed at least one of them down with a shotgun.
They threw one Red Cross guy in the water.
The other thing is they're flying a bunch of choppers down there. So,
yeah, and they've had one grounded because some idiot with a drone was flying where he wasn't supposed to
wasn't
be.
supposed to be, yeah.
Well,
So-
apparently,
Don't fly drones down there.
no, not right now.
They have got helicopters that are with crews that are
Oh,
trained.
Mike.
Hey, Mike, that are trained to do airborne surveillance.
Also, you've got the Coast Guard. Their rescue swimmers are. Keep your drones away from there.
So, yeah, the no, excuse me, the no-fly zone. Very definitely no-fly zone.
No, it's not worth it. Knock it off, guys.
Yeah.
If you apparently Governor Abbott called up and said, "What do you need?" And he said the county judge said, "Roads are gone. We need Blackhawks."
Yeah.
And an hour later, sky was full of Blackhawks. And then some idiot flew a drone into one. Yay! Stop helping.
Well, it's the same shit in California.
Oh, I know.
The one that mid-aired with the Canadair water bomber.
Yep.
Put that bird down for 4 days because they had to do an entire inspection of the wing.
I'd have found the operator throwing him in the next rotating.
Well, he got arrested for all the good that did. Anyway, on to my original rant.
That wasn't the original rant?
No,
Oh, Lord.
that was just a
He was just warming up.
Off the cuff.
that, and I'm tired of the bullshit. Friggin' mainstream media is not our friend, folks.
It's not anybody's friend, Jim.
Yeah. But Northrop Grumman has once again screwed the Navy.
What have we done this time?
The Kennedy is going to be at least a year late. So we're going to be down to 10 carriers for at least a year because the Nimitz comes offline in 2026. The Kennedy is not now scheduled until 2027. Now, they're saying they have the same problems with it that they had with the Ford. Now remember, Ford was 2 years late, and Ford did not complete their first deployment for 6 years. So she was accepted in 2017. Her first deployment was 2023. So effectively, we're looking at a 10-carrier suboptimal force for 7 years. That's if everything goes right.
And it never goes right.
And it never goes right.
Murphy hates the military. Murphy's got a hard on for military.
We really need 13 carriers to maintain op-tempo first tempo. We're never going to get there. Not in our lifetime. So, yeah, they keep finding Nimitz as a tree cat. Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Not the Nimitz we're talking about, but yes.
USS Nimitz will be 50 years old next year.
Pizza.
The requirement is that at age 50 they be decommissioned because of the issues with the steel containment on the reactor. That is a hard stop.
Radiation does bad things to the ductility of metals.
Knock on wood. The Navy has not had a major, thank you, not had a major problem since the Nautilus. So there are rules.
So what you're saying is we're overdue.
No, I'm saying our procedures are that good.
Good.
And the people abide by the procedures.
I was getting worried.
And they don't stretch things beyond the life expectancy. But that's going to put us in problems with the rest of the world because of other things going on.
Well,
so that means that the kids that are out there are going to get screwed again. There are going to be more 10 and 12-month deployments instead of the 6 they're supposed to be. No, Todd, you cannot replace a reactor. You basically got to disassemble the ship because the reactor, the reactor is critical to the infrastructure and one of the first things that's built into the keel after the keel goes in. Yeah, Rickover set up a good system. He was a bastard. I know people that went through his interview process and his training. And yes, he really did have a chair that was canted down, that was very slick. And he used that at the Naval Academy, among other places, to interview people. Also, he had a tendency to fire people for very, very minor, what we would normally consider very minor issues. But to him, anything was major. There was no such thing as a minor issue.
Given the era that he was working in and the tolerances of what he was working with, I can kind of see his point of view.
He took it to excess. There was one situation where he, as the director of the nuclear Navy, got told he couldn't do something. So he went fine and put on his AEC hat as the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission and wrote a letter to himself directing himself to do what the Navy would not allow him to do.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
and as the director of the AEC, he had to do it. Yeah, so.
That is some E4 level shit right there. Yeah. That is some E4 level shit.
Yeah. So, that's basically my rant for the day.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not even going to get into how screwed up acquisition is. I could talk for the next hour on how fucked up that is.
Northrop Grumman no longer owns a shipyard, according to Joel.
Well, whoever bought it is in the same friggin' boat, Joel. I had not heard about it being sold. So interesting.
Joel works there, so he should know.
Yeah.
So, the big news is, well, there's multiple big news. This weekend is Thunderdome. When we get
For Rack and Shore Press, to
When-
be clear,
Rack Press gets as many of its staff together in one building, and we decide the schedule and what we're going to be publishing in 2026. Pray for me.
it'll be fine.
I'm going to have Mike and Nick and Chris and Jesse under the same roof.
No, Richard, we're not going to do ads. I was sworn never to do ads on here. I'm not going to monetize this. I don't believe in that.
Two stories. Two anthos enter, one antho leaves. And I got Vice Noir done, Cedar.
Mike said, bring your mouthpiece.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So we got Vice Noir done. And as usual, I'm second guessing myself. But I really think y'all will like this one. It's a little different. For Racketeer, it's a little different.
And it's too late. It's been illustrated and uploaded. No changes. No take backs.
Apparently, we have passed the no takesy backsies. No, and I wouldn't anyway. I need to learn to trust my instincts, and I picked the stories that I thought matched the theme well and had a decent flow. So I think y'all are going to enjoy this. Boys Antho. Have we already mentioned that?
No.
It has been a thing that we are considering. It is definitely on the list. There's been a number of requests for an anthology incorporating boys' stories. Until we have completed this meeting this weekend, I'm not going to say yay or nay because we have to look at a lot of things, and there's a bunch of us, so it's not like we can just make a decision.
I'm too busy throwing elbows. I don't know about the rest of you. Vice Noir themed novel. Partially completed. Well, finish it.
And then send it to us.
Send it to us. We'll read it. No promises. We'll at least read it. If your instincts are full, wash the dandy. Seriously. Seriously.
Well, he got you to read it.
Yeah, he did. So we got that. We've got some really good novels coming out in the next couple of.
So we have novels scheduled out through early 2026. We have boys novels scheduled to the end of 2025, and the open call for boys novels is still open. Please do send us boys novels. We are very open on that. We actually would love to see more that aren't necessarily science fiction or fantasy. So if you've got a mystery novel or a Tom Swift type novel, send it. I mean, we're having a lot of fun with the science fiction and fantasy, and we have at least one in the lineup that isn't those things. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. But whatever it is, if you've got a boys novel that fits the open call, please read that before you send it.
Speaking of, our production manager, the illustrious Jonna, will be on Mirthquake sometime coming up, where she's apparently going to be talking with David about baby author tricks
And things not to do.
and things not to do. Oh,
Yeah.
there.
We have summoned a Donna.
Remember, no, it's we're a developmental press, right? We see a lot of new authors. We see a lot of baby authors being toddlers, and not in a good way. So it's an educational opportunity, and since it's Mirthquake, I will probably be letting a few things fly that I don't normally. So
It should be very entertaining. That will be July 15th. Mark it on your calendar.
yes, so
For more details, track down David Badgerina somewhere on the interwebs.
well,
He's everywhere.
He's going to announce it on his
Oh,
YouTube channel.
I know,
on
I'm
Mirthquake,
just
but
saying.
he is literally everywhere, right? So yeah, he's doing some really cool stuff right now too. So.
But this should be fun because Jonna tends to trip that mine before the rest of us do. She just growled back there. Okay. No,
That's good, ma'am.
Would you prefer Jacinta?
What?
Oh, come on. Bam is down to the
Last scene in Blades and Black Magic. Woohoo!
outstanding.
And none of us are the editor for that, so we can't give you any guarantees. But
Space Western, Raptor, Space Western.
heck, if somebody writes me a space western boys adventure book, be still my little heart.
That was a hint, just in case that was a hint.
No comment.
I am not the only reader for the boys' manuscripts when they get sent in. We have several people that are helping
Jump
with
on
that. But I am for some reason or other the one that has the final say in acquisitions. So
Because I don't want it.
and that's all right because I do. I mean, I am having so much fun with
Why
it.
does Cedar have final say? Because I don't want it.
But yeah, it's we're doing an accelerated tempo of publishing for the boys' adventure novels because boys needs books.
Yeah. And if there's one thing that Patrol Leaders Developmental course and the basic non-commissioned officers course taught me was delegate.
And in my
And it's
case,
taken you how long to actually do that?
Shut up.
but he did learn.
It
The
did
versions
get
of learned.
into my head.
But in my case, as having been a children's librarian, and I haven't been a children's librarian for a while, and this problem has been persistent. But having been a mother of a boy and of girls that didn't necessarily want to read girly books, I knew there was a gap in the market. And then Sheridan Warden, who's also an author.
Is that how you pronounce that?
What?
After expecting a demon come out of the floor.
He's an author and he's also a librarian for the Salt Lake City Public Libraries, which is one of the largest library networks in the system. And he analyzes the data regularly on the books that come in. And looking at that makes me realize that it's even worse than I thought it was, the state of publishing for boys' books. And that's why Raconteur Press was basically like, into the breach.
Yeah.
We shall go.
I ain't smart, but I'm tough.
But yeah, and we've had some phenomenal authors step up and give us manuscripts.
Well, just listening to, I don't know if y'all catch the comments I do. Some of the fact we're doing it as people just, boys, girls, moms, and dads, they're all losing their minds over it.
Yeah.
The number of girls that popped up and said, yeah, I liked reading boys' books too.
Yeah. I mean,
Yay.
I'm not going to say all of us did, but I certainly did. I actively avoided a book cover that looked like it was feminine because that wasn't what I was when I was a girl. I was a tomboy, and I knew.
I believe that's a vanishing breed.
It is, sadly.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other rant.
Boys are a vanishing breed also.
Tomboys are definitely a vanishing breed.
But boys are.
Now they want beta males.
Right. Well, okay. So here's the thing: the educational system. Yeah, I know. There I go on my soapbox popped up under me. I felt it. The educational system is stacked against males.
Yeah.
And they want them to sit down, shut up, hold still.
Yeah.
And none of these things are what little boys are good at.
Yep.
Little boys are good at going out, getting dirty, and breaking things, and hopefully trying to learn how to fix it again. This is the ultimate goal.
One of the only reasons my ADHD ass made it through school was the first 16 years of my life I had a tutor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was generally an older colonial gentleman with a hell of a mustache. And it's like, you want to learn about slugs? Go.
Yeah.
Is slug. Go.
And I used to do similar things because I was homeschooled, so lessons took a couple of hours a day, and then the rest of the time I had chores, but I was pretty much free to run wild. If I
Yeah.
wanted to learn about slugs, I went out and I spent hours watching slugs and getting distracted by roly-polies and salamanders and newts while I was out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember Mr. Carter throwing the zoology book across the room. 'Cause some reason my mother bought a zoology book, and it was the zoology of the British Isles.
Yeah.
And we're
Not at all helpful.
we were in West Africa.
Not at all helpful.
West Africa. So he took her mom, thanked her for it. Well, she went away, threw it across the room, and we went out and all right, we're gonna learn about zoology. That's a monkey, right? Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
And to be fair to your mother, there may not have been a zoology book about
There
the
wasn't.
area that you were in.
There wasn't.
Raptor wants to know if the final Vice Noir cover is available to share.
Yes.
Is it?
Well, the final Vice Noir cover has been finalized for a while. I will make sure that it's somewhere you can grab it. Raptor.
It's probably on my Substack in the notes section.
I don't know
the
if
one I'm
that's the
thinking of.
final one.
It's got the by law dog and
Yeah, but does it have the author
it
names
has no
on
author
it?
names on it.
Then we need to make sure that that's available.
Okay.
Dipper says, we're having free range month. 39 Lego models of tanks and Titanic, 62 drawings, and 90 dead moths.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you gotten a bell jar with a green snake in it yet?
Yeah.
Because
Where they live, they're not going to get green snakes. They will be brown and sand colored.
With funny patterns and these things on the back that go.
Yes.
we handed
But not bright green.
we
Because
handed a jar with a green snake in it to my father, asking him if it was a green mamba. And Dad said, "No, it's a vine snake." Mom was about to lose her mind. We have a mamba.
these are not things that. But see, this is what little boys do, and this is what little boys should be able to do. Maybe not the mama. Don't scare the mama.
It's the only snake we didn't have yet.
I had a pet. And I use that term loosely because I was like 6 years old. Banded king snake.
Mm-hmm. Which is very close in markings to something else, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Red and black, venom black, red on yellow kills a fellow.
Yeah.
Do you double check the black and the yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
But at a quick glance, I'm guessing a lady relative did not.
Oh, no, it was worse than that. We lived out in the country in central Louisiana. And I'm talking, I mean, literally down a mile-long dirt road
Mm-hmm.
at the pumping station. And Mama was in the garden club, and she was hosting the garden club. And I had been sent out to play, as kids are. And I come tromping through the front door with my pet to get a drink of water
Mm-hmm.
because Mama didn't say I had to go in the back door. And one of the women screamed. And it shocked me, and I let go of the snake. Snake hit the floor and disappeared. All the women were up on things and gone. A day later, we finally found the snake up in the couch. And Mama never hosted the garden club again.
Depending on her feelings on the matter, that might have been a good thing.
Never heard her complain.
Garden clubs have a reputation. I was
Yes.
never part of a garden club because, see again, tomboy.
The
Yeah, exactly, Dagamore. Red to black, no fangs.
things I like, yeah.
Yeah.
The era of the engineers giving us a hand in Nigeria came to a screaming halt when Mom came out one time and they had a pipe about that yay diameter and a pressure container on one end with a valve.
Yeah.
And we had already, I forget what the hell we'd launched, but I had a monkey and I was trying to put the monkey down.
That had to be fun.
You'll have to tie up all four of their limbs. If you let they hang, and you can't, if you're 40 pounds, you can't get the fucking monkey down Anyway, Mom came out, screamed. Not as loud as the monkey though. Monkey was cussing me up one side and down the other. Also screaming for help, I think. Maybe. We had a reputation. But we had the 200 psi pressure vessel on the other side of that thing would launch things well off into the rainforest. It was glorious.
Yeah, I still remember
Poor Cedar.
I mean, not that we didn't attempt to do certain things, but in Alaska, you're kind of limited to the squirrels.
If monkeys are not. Monkeys are not.
Oh, pumpkin chunking, bowling balls, any number of things you can fire these days. Yeah, Jesse, that would require an interesting looking sabot.
Didn't care. He was slow. And he was fixing to not be slow. And then Mom had to come out. And apparently she was worried about me getting bitten. I was monkey aware by then, and I was not going to get bitten by that little bastard.
So you were wearing welding gloves.
At the back of his head.
Yeah. Banana bait to remove control.
People think I'm joking about my loathing for monkeys. Now, I have done things to monkeys that probably a war crime.
Yeah. Oh, hell yes, Dagamore. Who did not have a few school photos with either Irish sunglasses or no eyebrows? Bonus points for both in 1 year.
There's
Sorry for the 4th grade photo.
there was a high school photo in a yearbook when Chris and I were both in high school.
Oh.
And the picture, I think on me, the left side was red and kind of blistered. And on him, the right side was red, kind of blistered. Oopsie.
We had a physics professor. I was a senior in high school. It was a engineer for TI was on sabbatical.
Uh-oh.
So we got to do some fun things in the lab. And one time we blew all the windows out.
Fun things in the lab does generally lead to things like blowing stuff up.
And his only comment was, oops.
Down at Camp Swift one time, I made the newspaper in a bad way. Camp Swift is in Camp Swift, Camp Maybe. Anyway, whatever National Guard camp is in Austin. I was down there teaching the weekend warriors how to lay a smoke blanket. And for those of you who don't know, a smoke blanket requires firing up the smoke generators, which are big, large. And you fire them up, and you have a table you check, and positions have to be right, and you can lay a smoke blanket. Well, my hungover self happened to mention that if you really want a good smoke blanket, you dumped half a gallon of Tabasco into your smoke fluid.
No. Why?
If I had not been hungover, I would have realized that was a bad thing to say, because I made the paper for shutting down I-35 in Austin for 6 hours by gassing everybody on the 35. Woo, they were pissed.
No great loss.
Not really.
It was 35. Who cares?
Well, and
It's not like they don't normally get blocked up.
This was in the 80s, so I fired it up, and we laid a hell of a smoke blanket, and everybody was happy. I went, good training. What's in the smoke? Sarge, remember what you said about Tabasco? All right, load everything up. Clean it, load it, let's go.
Stopping and asking where the barbecue was.
It was loaded Tabasco. It was like CS. It's a primitive pepper spray that nobody was asking for squat, including the DPS troopers that showed up at Camp Mabry. Want to know why we were gassing 35?
That's too funny.
Test tube thermite. I remember getting chewed out in auto class. Everybody remember auto shop class? You worked on cars.
Yeah.
I didn't attend formal schools, but that sounds like it would have been great.
Somebody happened to tell me that the wheels against the wall were made of magnesium.
Ew.
I know where we're going. I might not have attended auto class, but
Having had to fight on magnesium fire a couple of times, no. Just friggin' no.
I knew what powdered magnesium was good for,
No.
and I had powdered magnesium all of a sudden.
well, we had the mag bars, the little magnesium bars with the
Yeah.
flint on one
Yeah.
side.
Fire strikers.
Yep,
or
yep,
fire,
yep.
fire
That was
starters.
that was.
I've got
so
3 of them.
My sister and I definitely more than her, perpetually carried survival kits when we were in Alaska, and I had a mag bar in my pockets pretty much at all time because, I mean, we probably weren't going to get lost, but we could have.
Yes. Yeah, Dagamore, that's an old trick. Auto shop where I learned to put a grinder and a motor at idle, you can resurface a flywheel and clutch plate. Yes. That's a fact.
Okay.
I believe it.
My grandfather used to do that.
Shade tree mechanic.
Well, he was more than shader. He was a professional mechanic. But as he said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Nope.
Besides which, it gave it a nice bit of grab when that thing hit.
Friend of ours is a shade tree mechanic, and I had a oh my gosh, what was it? It was a Ford Focus wagon. I think it was a Focus. It was a Ford wagon anyway. Newer-ish, 90s, early 2000s. Anyhow, it got to the point where I no longer felt safe driving it because in order to stop at a stoplight without it dying, I had to stand on both the brake and the accelerator. Cracked manifold.
Oh, joy.
So we gave it to our friend and replaced it with something that I could drive safely because I was afraid my foot was going to slip, and one way or the other, I was going to be in trouble. So we gave it to him, and he slapped a whole bunch of JB Weld on that and drove it for at least another year.
I took the magnesium off of the that I ground off of the wheels, mixed it with some rust that I also found out back, and I had these aluminum arrows.
Oh.
So I hollow tube. I packed the tube full of the resulting dust and then glued a number 11 percussion cap on the nose. That was
Impressive.
good word. I like that word. That was impressive. I got the bow and arrow taken away shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
But that first launch was impressive.
See, I don't know that we even really had access to materials like that. I certainly didn't have the know-how early on. What we did do, though, through Civil Air Patrol involved rocket engines.
Yeah.
Because model rocket building is part of the Civil Air Patrol thing and curriculum, and we'd go out and we'd shoot off model rockets. And but you can do some fun things with model rocket engines that are not part of the approved curriculum.
Yeah. Also, if you take and tweak 2 of the fins a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
and I think 1 or 2 people did that not on purpose.
you can get some impressive. How shall we say this? Gyrations in the air.
Well, and if something's not built right or it falls apart kind of midair, you can have one of the big rockets go up about 20 feet and then suddenly fall sideways and go that way until we lost sight of it.
Apparently, kids these days aren't taught how to make rocket candy, which really makes me sad.
I have a feeling that my dad and uncles kind of held back on teaching me certain.
Every kid should know how to make rocket candy. If you haven't burned down half a county, are you really having a good childhood?
As fire prone as Alaska was, and they were all wildfire fighters, I'm sure that they were thinking about really don't want to have to deal with that.
Every kid should learn. It should be taught in school, damn it. How to make rocket candy. Used to in chemistry, they teach you how to make rocket candy.
Yeah.
staging the big interjets. we did an interesting experiment when we took the cardboard tube from the inside of Christmas, Christmas wrapping,
Mhm.
tubes like that. We filled the entire thing full of rocket candy.
That's just a little bit like stacking a bunch of engines in a water rocket.
It only went up. It only went up about 30 yards, and then it went sideways.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was last seen over the Mojave Desert heading west.
Well, depending on where it went over the Mojave, you might have gotten a shot. Because there are certain people out there that take offense to that, and they have bigger toys. Of course, the problem is that they then have to account for the telemetry on it.
Again, I ask, how the hell are you not dead?
Hagamore says, I was the reason for the model rocket size limitation. Below C, but not including C. And the next year, not to use a 4B or a staggered A motors for longer burn time. Oh. Yes.
I think I'm going to annoy Substack and put the recipe for rocket candy on Substack.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be out there. Little boys need to push the limits.
Yeah.
Maybe not as quite like I did.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite, but little boys need to be shown where the limits are and then push a little bit past them.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you haven't kinked your curlies with electric current, launched Legos over the house with rocket candy, or terrorized
Lego. They weren't even invented.
launch your favorite rock over.
Well, here's the thing, which is that the boys need to learn consequences of their actions. And they need to suffer those consequences, even if it's a belt across the backside, or a wooden spoon, or whatever. Because if they don't learn where their boundaries are, they keep pushing and trying to find them. And that's how you wind up with some of the juvenile delinquents that have been let off easy, or their mother has gotten them out of trouble. Oh, he's just a poor boy, and the 19-year-old that has committed armed robbery has never found a boundary in his life and has never been told, no, don't do that, when he was a little guy, when he needed to learn these things and the social skills of, you don't do that.
Yeah. When we were in, does anybody remember the calcium carbonate lamps?
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's calcium carbonate. It's the old lamps.
Yeah, the old carbide lamps.
Carbide
Oh, okay.
lamps. I'm sorry. Carbide lamps. Africa still had carbide lamps when we were there. You know what you can do with calcium carbide?
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
And we learned. I mean,
well, that's also how they found out that certain gases in mines weren't real good.
Because the carbide miner's lamps would set them off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we did. We played. I mean, and there was, I forget who made it. There was it was a collection of books, and the covers were this rich burgundy color. Popular Mechanics, maybe. And when you went through, it was things to build and experiment. And my grandfather had one. It was I would sit and it had how to make a razor blade radio.
That was Popular Science.
Popular Science?
Popular Science or Popular Science.
I've got a Popular Mechanics DIY encyclopedia at the house. If you want to look
this
at that,
was like 26 of them.
Yeah, mine is like
that was
12.
Science.
Was Popular Science.
And
that thing was glorious. I mean, it had it had a how to make a rotating paper velocimeter.
Yeah.
Chronograph.
Yeah.
And it fire a bullet through and measure and see how fast it was going by the holes in the paper. and
yeah.
a centrifugal force gun with gas, electric, and then with you could upgrade it to gas turbine and see what sort of loss you get. And we tried. You don't. It flies apart.
Yes,
Sucks.
Dagamore, exactly. Calcium carbide powered golf ball launchers
And
with the old black lead pipe.
the that do it
Do you know
yourself
how
thing.
badly you get in trouble for stealing balls off a golf course?
I would have no idea how much trouble you get into for doing that.
A lot.
But it had how to take a chunk of quartz and a brass hammer and a spring and make and generate spark.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. It was. I would sit there when we come home. We'd have a day that I couldn't go out. I'd sit there and just go through the damn thing, reading. And glory. And I don't know why they don't have things like that these days.
Yeah, Joel, that's a good point. Nick Freitas put it, parents' job is to protect the kids from the scars, not the bruises.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that was true. Today, not so much.
I don't know
Well, and
how
it's
much
not
effort
just-
folks actually put into that.
Well, and I was going to say, and these days it's not always the parents either, because,
Well, if they want to keep their kids, it is.
right, exactly, because if you let your kids run wild, first of all, you shouldn't let them run completely wild, because if they're damaging somebody else's property, that's an issue. But if you let your kids just run free range and be outside playing by themselves and stuff, and you're in a populated area with certain kinds of populations, you're just as likely to have the cops or CPS called on you, because people don't tolerate free range children anymore.
Nope.
It's such a overprotective society that we live in
And
now.
it's really, I think that we're going to find 20 or more years from now, we're going to start seeing how much damage, the research, how much damage not having a free range childhood has done.
We are already seeing it.
Well, I could give you an example. My youngest daughter, my two grandkids, I was out there 2 years ago, and they were playing with bikes in the little cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
And the little neighbor girl, who's the same age as my granddaughter, came out and started playing with my two grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Both myself and my daughter were watching them.
Okay.
But we were not right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were over in her yard. We're 30 feet away.
Yeah.
The mother came out screaming at her daughter to get back in the yard,
Mm-hmm.
that she was not allowed in the street, period,
Mm-hmm.
in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
It's
It's mind-blowing.
people don't realize that when I was a child, to say nothing of Africa, where I would roam through the rainforest, happy as a clam at high tide, but when we were back in Electra for that 1 month out of the year, my mother literally threw me out of the house with a sandwich
Mm-hmm.
after the cartoons were over, and told me not to take my ass on down the road and not come back till the streetlights came on.
Hell, I got that at age 8.
Yep.
We didn't have streetlights.
It's like, there's a warning sign. I saw on Facebook a warning sign about do not drink out of garden hoses. I'm screwed. That was a great thing about being in the States. We drink out of the hoses.
Yeah. Not wise to do that in Africa.
Well, not only that, we used to drink out of the creeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you drink out of a creek, who knows what you're going to get.
Giardia, at
Yeah.
least.
After
And-
what I'd had in Africa, Giardia is just a triplet bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, is Giardia is present even in places where you wouldn't think it would be. There are still some bodies of water that are safe to drink
Yeah.
out of. I spent my later teen and early adult life in the lakes region of New Hampshire. And Squam Lake, which is one of the major lakes up there, is actually, I want to say, Class C. It's drinkable in
Yeah.
theory. Too many people boat on it and swim in it and canoe in it for me to ever want to drink out of it. But in theory, you could dip up a cupful of water from that lake and drink out of it. But most places I would not trust without
Do the
some.
fish get out to go to the bathroom?
Well, see, that doesn't bother me because I grew up drinking out of creeks and stuff. But even on a high mountain stream, I wouldn't drink out of it because Giardia is basically everywhere now because human fecal material.
That's where we used to get our water when we would go up in the
Yep.
Tetons up around
Yep.
and up in the Sierras around Tahoe.
Yep, we went wilderness camping all the time. We just got water out of whatever river or creek we were next to.
The year we got bicycles, Kristen got bicycles. The world was our oyster.
Yeah.
And we'd be running out of the house at sun up, jump on the bicycles, and be gone.
I lived in Alaska. There was no sundown in summer.
And one of the neighborhood moms would see us about noon and stuff a sandwich in us, and we'd be gone again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I have teed off and played golf in Iceland at midnight.
Yep.
Finished at 4 a.m, and you can still see.
Yep.
Because you're a maniac who likes golf.
The problem was staggering out of the bar at 11:30. You didn't know if it was 11:30 in the morning or 11:30 at night.
Yep.
It's like, is this morning or night? I don't know. What do you think?
Don't care. We built.
When's the pre-flight?
We got out to Widener's pasture and we built tree houses out there. We had wars, and the game wardens Wagner had private game wardens, and they got to know us and it's like, knock it off. But they, as long as we weren't hurting the cows or the horses, they didn't care.
Yeah. Speaking of which, they've one of the reports I heard this morning, we got almost 300 game wardens down working in Kirk County.
Yeah, the game wardens were some of the first responders into the area.
Yeah,
they usually are.
Yeah,
they got game wardens they've got airboats and skill set, and they know what they're doing.
So in Texas, game wardens are also law enforcement officers.
Oh yeah.
So this is not the case. This is not the case in other places. So I know some people may not be familiar with it.
I saw Bortac down there.
Yeah, Bortac's there too.
Guys, don't screw with Bortac.
Yeah.
Don't screw with
let
Bortac.
They'll only do it once.
Do not. The Border Patrol's tactical team do not mess with Bortac. Just don't.
I can go over and tell some funny stories about it.
Woo! Bortac are high speed, low drag. They may just be cops, but they've got some of the best training and the most high speed, low drag people I've ever met. And Bortac, holy gods!
They were the ones that went in and stopped Uvalde.
Yeah, and Bortac doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
those guys, scary. Bortac's scary. Bortac scares the crap out of me sometimes.
Yeah, arcade. We know a couple of them up here, and those boys are not right.
Game wardens? No, not right in the head. No, love them to death. They ain't right.
Oh, one of them came in and gave a talk to the master naturalist.
No, Dave Moore. Bortac is not the one with the horses.
They're on horses in Kerr County.
Well, some places.
Yeah, well,
not all the time.
They're
the
not
effort,
normally.
The rescue efforts, they're on horses.
Yeah, they're not normally on horses.
No, they're not.
The local game warden came in and gave a talk to the master naturalists the year that I was in the training class.
The kid?
Yeah. And I'm like, he was adorable, honestly. But you got to understand, most of the master naturalists are little old retired people because nobody else has time to do everything that they do. And listening to him talk to them, and you could tell at times that he was adjusting his language.
Have you seen the arsenal in that kid's car?
I was trying not to laugh my head off. I mean, I'm sure that this kid can do whatever he needs to do, but coming in and talking to a bunch of little old ladies was...
He was pulled up to talk to Jim because, Jim. And I'm looking in the window of his patrol unit, and he's got a very, very large AR-15 there.
Yeah.
It was either a 50 Beowulf or it was some huge... It's like... the hell's his name? Tyler. I don't like to be undergunned. Dude!
Well, not only that, he had the stock one in the rack.
The issued one.
And 2 shotguns muzzle down in the floorboard
Well, this is a guy that has to be the one that's called out when the bull is loose. So no, I wouldn't want to be undergunned either.
Actually, that's the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
East Livestock is the sheriff's office. But they've been rotating through on the border for years. Texas DPS troopers and game wardens rotate border security. And
I want to say that's where Tyler started, because I know he was saying he'd only been up to this area. He hadn't been in a game warden for all that long. Like
What's you
couple of
cooking,
years,
James?
and had just recently rotated up here.
Anders is cooking dinner.
Oh, ooh.
knowing Anders is probably barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rolls. The game wardens, bless their heart, they roll heavy. When they roll,
Yeah.
they roll heavy. Woo! Love them to death, but damn.
You do not want to cross them.
No. And most of them are pretty easy going.
So, I take this with a very large grain of salt, but somewhere I found on one of the streaming services, there's actually a TV show that follows Texas game wardens around. And that's interesting to watch.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yes.
I'll have to see if I can find the link and send it to you, because
Cops
I
with
found
game
it-
wardens.
I found it entertaining.
Cops with game wardens.
Yeah.
Woo! They are state level law enforcement. Texas, that doesn't mean much, but they are full on peace officers, and
They evidently, the training, because the TV show showed some of the training that they
Yeah.
go through, and it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like they throw you in, it's not a river, it's a rushing water tube, and they throw you in it with all your gear, and you have to survive and get
Yeah.
out of it, which is valid training,
Oh,
but
yeah.
still kind of rough.
Well, that's. You never know. And they're out there. They're usually one of them.
Right, one of them,
there's one.
and there are flash floods, and they're
usually
out on
one,
the water.
one for every
and,
2 counties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember right, it's because up in the Panhandle, every 2 counties had one game warden, and he was running around like
it's a
chickens.
lot of country to cover.
We got 3 locally.
Do we?
I think one of them's a supervisor.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because he
still
was the one with the gray hair.
28 years old with gray hair,
Yeah.
because he's a game warden.
It's a cool job.
It's excellent. It's hard to get into. Game warden academy is hard to get into. You have to already have a degree, a bachelor's degree in like ecology or something.
I know one of the bachelor's degrees they look for, because I looked at a job listing one time, is like wildlife management.
That's it.
So
The Lone Star Law. Is that the one you're talking about?
yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
That's it, RK.
Apparently, British Royal Family's doing a documentary on game rangers now. Game rangers.
That's the UK does things different.
Yeah.
African game rangers are a whole different category. Whole different
And
category.
I would like to thank the people that corrected me on my snippet I put up this week.
Did you get corrected?
Yeah, I screwed up.
It happens.
I'm doing math and doing light seconds, light minutes, and light hours. And I'm looking at AUs, astronomical units.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been looking at 30 light minutes and inadvertently put 4 AUs with 10 light minutes. And I had a couple of people that went, you screwed up. Yeah. I went back and looked. Sure enough, it's supposed to have been 1.2.
That is a significant difference, yes.
Yes.
This is why I avoid putting math in my stories.
But I do
Math is evil.
harder science fiction than you do. So,
That's why I like space opera.
Yeah.
I just
which
wait.
is why I don't like it.
I wait.
Well, folks, we've wasted another hour of your time.
It was on Amazon for 11 seasons?
Good grief.
Really? I'll have to go back, and there's more, I'm sure, because I don't think I got through near that much.
Angry Canadians. I only have 6 rounds of birdshot. Oh. Yes, physics fun, Tom. Now, 1 AU is, yeah, hell.
8 minutes.
Yeah, about
It's the time. It's the amount of time it takes light to get from the sun to Earth.
Yeah.
One AU is the distance from Earth to the sun.
I'm offended by all of it.
Anyway, folks, I will not be here Thursday. I have another doctor's appointment in Oklahoma City. So
So you're leaving us to our own devices
Yes.
again.
sorry.
You'll probably show up and find Cedar and Rita here again. I'll be in the background
had-
pacing.
We had fun last time.
It went off the rails last time.
Sure did.
I think I went off the rails. Woo!
You guys had some fun.
All right. So one more round of what's publishing this week.
Vice Noir coming out this week.
Okay. Vice Noir.
That's it for right now.
That's
I said
all
I
we
can
have
pick
right now. Isn't that enough?
Is it? Does anybody else not want to see Rita and Cedar here Thursday instead of me?
Back is doing much better. RK. I'm actually in therapy, physical terrorism.
Yeah, I was going to say, clarify that therapy.
It beat me like a stepchild yesterday.
Blades and Black Magic closes this weekend. Thank you.
Yeah.
Newest minion. Now, for those you don't know, Jesse Barrett is competent and slow, so we got him.
Yep.
And the rag may have smelled like chloroform.
The hanky did smell like chloroform, as a matter of fact.
So remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we'll see you later.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.